Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. This video clip is being made because Salman, my nephew, who is a dental surgeon and he works in Dublin, Ireland, he has asked me to make this video. And he said that he has got many friends and they asked a question, and the question is very common asked by his friends, that if someone in earlier part of their career acquires a degree and then gets an experience and starts a job, but then he realizes that he is not finding it very good for him or her, and he is not suitable for job, or he is not enjoying it well, then what should be the next step? Well, this is a very important and interesting question, and this question is not very uncommon. Many of our young doctors here from Pakistan, and who are even those who are actually doing residency with us, in the middle of the residency they suddenly realize that they made a wrong choice, or somehow they initially liked it, but when actually they came into the practical life, they found that this is so taxing and this is not very enjoyable, and they want some remedy of it. Well, my suggestion will be that instead of deciding something in a hurried way or in a haste, just be cool, take 2-3 days holidays with the friends or maybe alone, and just make a very thorough analysis of it. Because there is a very famous way of analyzing a thing, and that is questions of what, why and how. So what is your problem, why you think is the problem, and how you're going to handle it? These are the three headings under which we have to solve all the problems. Like in your problem, it is quite possible that your reason for not liking the job is not in the job. It may be in you. We presume that a person, for example, who's a doctor or he's a dentist or a computer expert, he has already acquired a certificate or a degree. And we also presume that he has got sufficient knowledge and skill of the profession. So this is why most likely these two are not the obstacles. But the thing which may be lacking in a person is the management skills, the soft skills. You may be very intelligent, you may be physically very fit, but you may not be emotionally very strong. And emotional instability or lack of emotional intelligence makes someone very vulnerable to handle tough situations. Whenever challenges come, whenever conflicts arise, whenever there are something which someone does not like it and it is not of your liking, then a person just crumbles and just gives way, and then he does not find himself skilled enough to handle it. So in your case, I think it is very important to very objectively reflect and see whether this is the case or not. If you think that you are competent in your job, appropriately qualified, and you are competent and you know your job, but still you are not liking it, then please just focus. There may be something wrong with learning of your soft skills. And you must do something to learn to be patient, to learn how to handle tough situations. You have to learn how to do anger management. You have to learn how to be possessor, how you should be able to forgive people, how you should be able to tolerate people, how you should be able to accommodate people. And many of the times when we work on these skills, we find that all the people which you thought that they were hostile towards you, you suddenly start realizing that no, they are very friendly. So this is the thing. But it is quite possible that problem is not in you. You are a nice person and you have possessed all the skills, but problem is really outside. Now, if problem is outside, this outside problem may be because of persons, or this may be because of the circumstances, right? Problem with the persons, I mean, for example, if you are a dentist You have got a nasty boss, you have got a terrible colleague, and this is the reason that you think that this job is not good for you. Then instead of quitting the job, we must learn the skills of handling difficult people. And handling difficult people is learnable if we keep our ego aside. Many of the times when we are not getting along nicely with our colleagues or our parents or our siblings, most of the time it is because our ego comes in between. We think that we are hurt. It means we have been insulted. We think that how dare he said this? This is below my prestige. He should have not been he should not have been saying this thing, and things like that. Most of the time, whenever we have got nasty people around us, you just keep your ego at a very minimal level and just try to understand them. And very shortly you will find that ego is like a burning fire. And when you pour more ego into it, the fire just flames up, right? So if someone is behaving in an egoistic way, you just don't fuel it by putting your ego into it, and you will see that even your enemies, they will start becoming your friends. Now, this is one way. And the best way for that is negotiation. If you have got nasty people around you, and whenever you are hurt, whenever you think may he or she be your boss, maybe your colleague, or maybe your junior, best way will be to just sit and talk and tell them that, look, I'm not against you, but there is something which is bothering me and I want to discuss with you. So instead of being reactionary, instead of being hostile, instead of being vindictive, and instead of just talking about him in a negative way to other people or getting yourself frustrated, best way will be to talk to him or her and negotiate and sort out the things. However, if problem is not on the people and problem is in the place, or problem is in the nature of the job, I mean, you wanted to be an artist and you landed up being a doctor, you wanted to be a computer expert and you landed up to an accounting business, so, and you think that there is no way that this matches your personality or your expectation about life, then in my opinion, no matter in what stage of your life you are, there is no harm in switching the profession. There's no harm in it, because Allah has given us a very, very short life, right? And the yardstick for a successful life is whether you are happy or not, right? The other name of life is time. If your time is being consumed in such a way that at the end of it you become happy and you are in a sense of joy and in a bliss, then this is what success is. So if nature of the job is such that it is not creating any joy for you, it is not giving you any happiness, and if it is not blissful for you, then there is no harm in switching a job. But my suggestion will be that you don't just flip the coin in one go. Whatever job you have, just continue with it and keep on working the other 3-4 aspects which I have just told you, and in the meantime start working on some other job and start with. So maybe initially you are giving 100% to this job, you just give 80% to this job and give 20% to the other venture which is of your liking, and when that grows up and goes up to 50%, then you can switch and go to that job. So this will not be a good idea that just on an emotional burst you just stop it and start doing something else, because you never know, because that experience may be even a bigger trauma to you. So if you have to switch, it has to be a serial switch. Please remember, whenever we are frustrated, whenever we are in tension, and whenever we are dissatisfied, the key is patience. Just wait. And many of the times, just time tells us and makes us wise enough to opt the right decision. So this is a kind of a simple analysis which I made. And if I would have been you, I will just go for a vacation. Just I'm going to summarize it. I'll go for a vacation, I'll take a copy pencil and I'll start writing why I'm dissatisfied, why it is so, is the problem in me, is problem in other people, is problem in the environment. And then if it is in you, whether it is your competency, whether it is your intellectual, the deficiency in your intellect related to that profession, or it is basically your problem is in your soft skills, it is problem in your personality. In my humble understanding and an experience of teaching and training people over around 3 decades, I have found that most of the people who are not very satisfied in one job, when they switch to another job, they again are not very satisfied. And there is actually a syndrome called flip syndrome, in which people keep on flipping, keep on changing their professions, and they forget that actual problem was not in the profession, actual problem was in themselves. So you have to be very clear whether it is your incompetency in any way which is responsible for these feelings. If it is on your side, then obviously changing the job is not going to help you. If, for example, you are finding yourself a bit lazy and not very hard-working person, so whether you are a dentist or a surgeon or a banker or a shopkeeper or whatever, or a musician or a football player, that is going to affect equally, and you will be dissatisfied whatever job you opt for. So you have to be very clear that if you want to switch a job, the problem is not in you. And if problem is in you, many of the time by self-talking, by meditation, you can sort it out. Many of the time you require mentors. Mentors are your friends which are not judgmental about you. Mentor is a person, when you just share your problem with him or her, he or she will not be judging you. He will not be saying, oh, I never thought you will be so stupid. And he will not say something like that. Rather, he or she will be just listening, try to understand you, and then give you proper suggestion. So you please try to find out mentors before making a very drastic decision. Also discuss it with your family and all other stakeholders. I don't know about your circumstances, but in our circumstances here in Pakistan, if I have to make any decision, my wife has to be a partner in this decision. My children have to be part of that decision, because all of them are stakeholders in it. So please, you also identify your stakeholders and just talk to them as well. Maybe your parents, maybe your spouse, maybe your if you have got children, maybe your children, or maybe your very dear friends. So you just also talk to them. And before switching a job, make sure that there's nothing wrong on your side. And if there is something wrong on your side, then I think it's not a good idea to switch the job. You start focusing on yourself and you will start enjoying that job. And then once it is clear, then see if it is because of some people. Then please remember, wherever you go, you will find nasty people. This world is full of nasty people and crazy people. So wherever you go, you will find nasty and crazy people. So if this is the problem, then try to fix those problems by negotiation, by keeping your ego down, and by learning the leadership skills and also communication skills. But if, as I've already said, it is that you don't like it, then this is a sufficient reason to switch it. And I have given you some of the guidelines that if you try to switch, then how you should do it. So good luck, and I will be very happy that if you share your feedback with Salman, and let's see whether this talk was useful or not. Thank you.